G'day, you mob. Hi, how's it going? Sorry about the delay. Hello there indeed. Yeah, what a mission that was. Should have been just a direct little drive through one town over to another. But, of course, the thoroughfare that I wanted to use was closed for roadworks. So, the town, Ocean Shores, that I had to drive through is normally a rat's nest of silly little roads. Hard enough to navigate, and when the direct route that you want to take is closed up, bloody all over the place. Terrible town to drive through. So yes, indeed, sorry about the delay, and crikey, I'm glad to see that you're all keeping yourselves entertained. Oi, shush that guy. Keeping yourselves entertained with banter and chatter and whatnot. Housekeeping out of the way. That out of the way. Get that off my screen. All right, so yeah. That's actually why I went over there in the first place, wasn't it? So 20 odd of you hanging out. Oh, but most of my chat's disappeared. I do seem to remember that GRB was first in the chat today. So here's cheers to you, GRB. Big bucket of kudos in the post, not the past, in the future. C23, Mary Page Flynn, how are yous? Holly Gibbs, Holly by golly. Jesse, how's it going? Sand Creeks Aquatics 2, how are you? Amy, actually, you're not doing too good, are you? The chat says back problems. Kazval Deacon, I hope I'm saying that right. Welcome, new name. I'm definitely not as informative as Bentley. Probably not quite as chill either. I mean, on a scale of 1 to Bentley, I'm probably about a 5 on chill and a 5, maybe even less than a 5 on informative. But yeah, Amy, bad back, terrible. I've dealt with bad backs in my life, or just the one. I've only got one back, but it's had issues, occasional ones that flare up and give me dramas. So yeah, good luck with that. Jackson Tax, how are you? Welcome. So yeah, I'm going to have to watch the replay to see all of the chat before where I'm up to now. Am I like Dustin? Kind of annoying but good energy? Yeah. Yeah, probably kind of annoying. Oh, that hair's kind of annoying. No one likes dragonfly larvae. At least they're pretty when they're big. Who else have I missed? I do apologise if I've missed anyone. C23, I'm not sure if I said you before, but g'day, g'day, g'day. Oh, funny, should mention Full Metal Jacket. Apparently the that main sergeant who did all the shouting and stuff, he was a consultant on the movie, being an ex-military man, and they gave him the job because he was so good at slinging insults at people. It's great. Pug, how are you? Sorry, I'm still trying to slide down through all of this chat. C23, living in the past. It's not such a bad place to live. Low-key hate the dragonflies. Priscilla MK, hello, how are you? Yes, again, apologies for my lateness and my lack of other people on the stream with me today. Oh, that's probably not such a bad idea. Good remindering. Actually, I've got to do it here, don't I? Give me one moment. All of these opportunities for everyone to talk amongst themselves. Here we go. Let's go in there. Fingers crossed I'm not still sharing my screen because I'd like to not let cats out of the bags. Yeah, because I was fingers crossing that the Beast would turn up today because that's a couple of interesting subjects I wanted to chat with him about. Yeah, time will tell. Whoopsie-doo. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. Yeah, I'm not sure about the nitrogen bubbles and substrate. I suppose in God, what's that stuff doing up there? Probably in small amounts they're not so bad, but obviously if you got lots of nitrogen bubbles in your substrate, something's a wee bit out of whack. That's quite tasty. Jackson Tax went to band camp with Kurt. Kurt from Nirvana. He doesn't seem to strike me as a band campy kind of kid. Crikey, JRB, that's quite a list of concerts. Oh, I saw Soundgarden once, and Chris Cornell, rest in peace, he was terrible that night. Oh, pardon me. He really was bad. And then I've seen other live video and stuff of Soundgarden where he sounded great. But yeah, I can honestly say that my Soundgarden experience live was not the best. Oh, have I been I've been talking to Kazval and he's gone. Goodness me. Oh well, We'll get him next time if I'm on time next time. It's very good to have you here, Mary Page Flynn. It was lovely to meet you the other night on Father Fish's live stream out in the bush, getting your ginseng. It was really interesting actually looking at your terrain and stuff. It looked very similar to the wilderness around me. G'day GT, how are you? No, it wasn't. I wasn't driving my father. I was driving my son. So that's Dad's taxi is when I'm driving the kids around. So yes, crikey. Sandy Doty, how are you? I really don't I don't like this showing up late stuff. It's got so much chat to get through. John Doe, how are you? I remember seeing you in the very early chat. Joel G, Aquaballs, how are we, boys? Chewy, g'day. Chris John, hello. I guess I'm getting closer to the current chat. Oh, I hope your daughter's old enough, C23, to see Full Metal Jacket. Lots of concepts in that film. Did I see an Aquamate in there as well? I thought I did, maybe. Yeah, well, Craig Broderick kept on reminding me about my VB breakfast a few weeks back. So I caved the other day and bought a 3-pack. Can't go wrong. There he is, Aquamate, Dr. Blackosaurus. How are you, mate? Hope you're working hard. Big J, how are you, buddy? Yeah. Oh, C23 had a bad Pearl Jam live. Were they all drunk or something? I don't know. I think Eddie Vedder used to get pretty smashed up, didn't he? He might be a little bit more sensible these days. I don't know. Who else have I missed? If I've missed you, I do apologise. You know, I like to say hi to everyone. And there we are. We made it to the bottom of the chat. Cheers, people. It was actually quite interesting when I was watching the Bentley Pascoe stream, and thanks again to Candy and Bentley for shouting out, sending people over this way. I hadn't gone live right on time because I was listening to that little bit of Bentley talking about Dustin and not wanting to hang crap on other creators and stuff. So yeah, it was lucky that I hadn't started when I had got my message from my son asking for a lift. One Dirty Platy, fair dinkum. Welcome aboard, One Dirty Platy. Have we seen you here before, One Dirty Platy? But I like the name. I like it a lot. What's going on in your worlds, peoples? Oh, did I miss a James F as well? And Tampa Tom, I'm not sure if I said hi to Tampa Tom. G'day, Tampa Tom. William Pridemore was here, is here, maybe. Crikey, there's quite a bunch. Chris John, I don't think I got you either. Maybe, for some reason. One Dirty Platy is a father fish, people. Nice. Still in ya? How are you, mate? Welcome back. Eddie was smashed the night before. Oh, crikey. Yeah, I have heard back in the day that Eddie was a little bit of a loose cannon. Was a little bit of a misbehaver when it came to performing live, and he didn't really like the big crowds and stuff anyway. But anyway, he still had quite the voice, and I think a lot of people quite enjoyed the Pearl Jam. Chewy, I am using this Audio Technica USB microphone. Does actually belong to Scungy, but it's been living at my place for quite a long time now, so I might as well use it. Mains, tails, furs and fins. Fur and fins? Yeah, you don't want furs. That's a whole different ball game, isn't it? Yeah, I think it was part of the thing with the grunge era that I guess it was almost expected that the live shows weren't ever supposed to be album perfect, you know. I think they struggled to well, they might not have struggled. They might not have even put much effort in to making the concert sound like the records. But nowadays, you know, you've got even your full-on metal bands, and they just play everything perfect to the record. Lamb of God's probably a really good example of that. They certainly nail their versions live. Hey Pam, how are ya? I look like a yowie. Tell you what, a couple of hours ago I felt like a dead yowie that had been set on fire and put out with a bike chain. Oh, we got other doctor here and I've missed them. How are you, Pam? Good to see you. It's been a while. Who's the second doctor in here? Amy, I have 3, not really children anymore though. 2 of my sons are in their early 20s, and my younger boy is he is nearly 18 in January. He's just doing his last year at high school. Yeah. Oh, that's a excellent relief. I'd like to see Pam's artist impression of a yowie to see what that looks like. Oh, I could have nearly done that.
Oh, hey.
Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
What's happening today? What's going on?
You know, a little bit of chaos. I was like mere seconds away from clicking the go live button, and then I got a special request to deliver my son to another town.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you know, I like to encourage his social life, and he was going down to the beach with some friends and stuff, so I thought, why not?
How old is your son?
That was my youngest one. He's 17, nearly 18, in his last year of high school.
Oh, lordy.
Yeah, which he cannot wait for that to be behind him. He really, really does want it done. Oh, Candy, I didn't see Candy sneak in as well.
I don't blame you, dude. Like, I wanted to be done with high school too, man. Come on, man.
Me 3, big time.
What's going on here? I got weirdness going on my computer. There we go. Okay, got it sorted.
Yeah.
So what's happening other than that? You're not on fire.
No,
which is good.
Not on fire. Unlike a large portion of the states, it seems. How's that all going over there? I don't think I've seen any news.
I mean, I wouldn't say that we're good to go or anything, but it's the wind's blowing the other direction now, so hopefully
blowing it back on itself.
Partially, yeah. That was like a big part of the problem with the wildfires is that so typically the wind blows from the west towards the east, right? So from the Pacific Ocean inland, typically, and there for like a week it was blowing the other direction out towards the ocean. So it was like stuff was blowing not the normal direction and all that, and yeah. Global warming, all that stuff, all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, we had our fair dose of it last year, as I'm sure most people are aware of.
Yeah.
Millions and millions and millions of acres of land burnt out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
that was just like an atrocity, and that's kind of weird. Like, it's kind of weird. Trying to explain like that devastation to people that have never seen it before.
And
I think it's the same thing as like, people will come to like Washington and I'll like, we take them out to the mountains or the woods or something. And they're like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this. This is crazy. Like, it's just crazy. Like, yeah, it's forest like for forever,
Yeah.
And then when it burns, it's like, yeah, here it is. It's all burnt, I was in Eastern Washington just like I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago or something like that, and I found some of the old growth trees there that they go through a bunch of wildfires because Eastern Washington it's a different environment than Western Washington. It's all dry, deserty type forest. So the trees are all like really spaced out, and then there's just generally like a little bit of grass kind of underneath them. So when it burns through, it just burns like the bottom of the trees. Some of them will catch on fire and stuff like that. But I took some like really close up pictures of the bark and stuff because it's like the most insane thing because it's like the burnt part grows in with like the new bark and stuff, and it looks crazy.
Yeah.
And I want to try to emulate that somehow, but my brain hasn't been able to figure out how to paint it. So I don't know if that'll ever happen. Maybe I'll have to just like print it out and make a wallpaper or something.
Yes, it's definitely a very good skill that trees have. Compartmentalization, I believe it's called.
Yeah, I think it's something like that. Yeah.
I know they refer to the compartmentalization of decay in trees, where if a tree gets a little bit of rot or something, it modifies the living tissues around the rotting section to
right.
Just to seal it off so the rot doesn't continue through the rest of the tree.
Yeah.
And I think it's a similar process for burnt stuff as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's crazy. Like, cutting down trees. Like when you cut down a tree where like the inside of it's burned. I don't know if you've ever seen that before.
Yeah.
Like the outside of it's still alive.
Yeah.
you go to like kick the saw into it, and it's like, you're expecting a lot of wood in there, and it's hollow.
Hollowed out. Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah, I have seen.
You run away from that tree because it's probably going to fall on you.
Yeah. Well, GRB makes a reference there that our eucalyptus trees down here recover well from fires. Plus, we also have, pardon me, we have quite a wide variety of vegetation down here that actually requires fire as either part of its life cycle or to just germinate seeds.
Yeah, to actually open up the seeds to get them to germinate, right?
Yeah, that's right.
You can't just count on birds to do that for you,
Yeah, well, some of our eucalypts have very big woody, acorny kind of things that are no birds cracking that stuff apart.
Ooh, that
It's
reminds
getting
me.
burnt.
Have you seen that what's that documentary about the rat infestation in like what is that, Cambodia? Rat
No, I've not.
infestation Cambodia 48
Okay,
years. Because it's
g'day,
like
Gaffer Haynes and Perth Cichlids. How are you,
here
Jace?
it is.
Gaffer?
It's like I don't know. So every 48 years, maybe it's Vietnam or something like that. But it's somewhere over there. I'll have to find it for you. But it's like a really cool documentary that like Discovery Channel or something like that did. And yeah, I don't remember exactly what Asian country it was. I thought it was Cambodia, but either way, I'll find it at some point. But like, so the bamboo forests there, they found out that once every 48 years, the whole bamboo forest seeds and dies,
Oh, wow.
and then regrows again, right? Which is insane. It's totally crazy to think that like, well, because bamboo is grass essentially. It's a grass. It's not a tree. But like once every 48 years, it seeds all of it, like it all seeds, and then the rodents, like their population skyrockets at an insane level. And they always thought that it was like a myth, like they just thought it was like a mythological thing. But oh, there's a famine of rats once every 50 years or whatever, and it turns out like once every 48 years, like it actually happens, and they documented it this time around. I gotta find that. Like,
That's pretty wild. I'm definitely going to have a look into that.
but it's so weird to think that, like, because the bamboo forest is not actually a forest. It's grass. So I don't know. The planet is pretty crazy.
I find it weirder that the bamboo doesn't round up to 50.
Yeah, like why not? Why not round it up?
Extra
like,
2, come on.
Solid 50 feels nice and even. Bamboo forest.
Streetwise, hello, Streety. How are you? Welcome.
48 years or so. Here it is. Rat attack, PBS. I don't know. I don't know if I can link you anything. Oh, I can send it in a private chat. Copy. It was Nova by on PBS. So Public Broadcasting America. Check that out. Here, I'll send you the link.
Oh, yeah.
Sneaky like. Sneaky.
I wonder if we can stream PBS stuff over this side of the globe.
No harm in trying. I would just
Whoops.
Just VPN,
Yeah, true.
Just VPN that and say you're in the States. But yeah, here it is. It's called Rat Attack, and they made it in like 2010. Yeah, once every 48 years, forests of the bamboo known as the Melocana bassifera. Bassifera? Probably saying that wrong. Go into exuberant flower in parts of northeast India. Okay, I guess it's in part of India. Yeah, weird, man. Totally weird. But I guess the rats just start breeding like at an insane rate. And they just overrun everything and eat all of the crops and everything. And then they start eating each other and everything. It's bizarre. Yeah.
Yes, well, that's generally common practice with rats anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, once they overpopulate.
Yeah.
I guess maybe I was thinking about forests and rats because it's been a long time since I've had to deal with rats here. I found there's a rat in our garden. And last night, if I was allowed to shoot my gun out here, I would have gotten him. But I live too close to neighbors and stuff, so the broom didn't work. So I got traps out tonight. We'll see if we can get him.
Speaking of rats, Rats in the Cellar was a great song by Aerosmith. And there was another hair metal band in the 80s called Rat with 2 T's. And I believe one of their records was called Out of the Cellar, potentially in homage to the Aerosmith song. I can only assume it would be homage.
An homage?
Gaffer Haynes putting the question out there, is it true that the majority of our Earth circles cycles. I know words. I've got words, I swear, are more governed by the lunar cycle than the solar cycle. I mean, I guess majority might be a tentative word to use because lots of them are based on both. But yeah, potentially, maybe more by the moon. What do you reckon?
Is it true that the majority of our Earth cycles are more governed by the lunar cycle than the solar cycle? Yes, because the moon is pulling the tides, right? So the gravitational pull of the moon is actually pulling. That's what creates tide and waves in the ocean. That's what creates the ocean moving around. Not completely, but that's a big part of it. So I would say yes, lunar more than solar. But, you know, I worship the sun god. You guys know that the sun is my higher power. There's no way we're ever going to really understand the power of the sun. We're just never going to be able to comprehend it. It's not going to happen. So if you worship soul. If I had to weigh one over the other, I would say the sun is more important, realistically, because you know the moon would just be moving tides around, you know,
and you know, bodily cycles, shall we say?
That's true.
And no, I haven't heard Laz play the cello. What did someone say he played?
Someone said Lars plays the cello. I wouldn't doubt that because, you know, that's one thing I've noticed. Any musician that gets a good amount of money in the bank, they just start learning every instrument they can get their hands on, which once you have a bunch of money in the bank, you sort of have time to do that.
It was a reference to Lazarus Fishboy, a young Australian fish tuber kid.
Oh.
I'm assuming you thought he meant Lars from Metallica.
That was what I was assuming. Yeah.
Speaking of Lars, I'm super glad you brought him up like that. I read a thing yesterday or the day before where apparently Lars is credited with all but 2 of Metallica's songs with a writing credit.
Oh, really?
It's you know, created all of this conjecture because he's just the drummer. How could he be responsible for the music in the song?
I think Metallica is kind of unique in that because I think that has to do with like when they were suing like Napster and all that.
Yeah.
I think that has something to do with that because like if you have a writing credit, you get paid like paid like a full amount from the record company. I think that's what that is.
Right. That would make sense.
I think that's why they would be like everyone has a writing credit, I think. But that's just kind of like, do I remember a thing that I thought I knew at one point in time? But I think that's what it has to do with those guys specifically is like everybody gets paid a full amount, you know, for all of the songs and stuff. Because I know that old like if you go look up old record contracts, like the leader of the band was like the only person that would get paid.
Yeah.
And then everybody else was like everybody else in the band was like fry cook, you know. It was like, how many hours did you work last week? We'll cut you a check for 28 hours. How about that? You know, get out of here.
Yeah.
So
well, I suppose those guys would have been they would have been quite familiar with legal proceedings and that kind of stuff with you know, Dave Mustaine's departure from the band. I think a lot of I think they had their first foray into legal stuff then, and I know Dave certainly challenged them on some of the authorage of some of their songs. But yeah,
they're a difficult band for me to get excited about because it's just kind of like I don't know. I was never really a Metallica fan, and then like all the weird nonsense they were always doing, I was just like, whatever. It's not for me.
Yeah. I can honestly say I wasn't a huge fan, even though I did like my metal. But nowadays, you know, I can go back and super appreciate their very early stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, full credit to them for you know, changing themselves and trying different stuff instead of, you know, listening to their fans.
That I do respect. That, yeah, I definitely respect the like, let's try and make a new album and not make the same album again.
Yeah.
Like AC/DC. I mean, at least AC/DC takes it on the chin. They're like, they're like, if you like one of our songs, you like all of them.
Yeah, it's worked for 40 years, so it's going to work for another 10.
Yeah, might as well.
Paddy, how are you? I didn't say you sneak in. Paddy's got potentially my favourite avatar because it's a shirtless William Shatner from the 60s. Who can't get
pretty good?
Shirtless Shatner.
Yeah, it's pretty good. One of the big photography forums, somebody was giving me a shout out on my avatar on there earlier today. Speaking of that, mine's not a shirtless William Shatner. It's not that good, but
well, it's getting shouted out, so there must be something decent about it.
I was like, respect. I like it.
Yeah, I agree with Chewy. I was always more of a Megadeth fan than Metallica.
I would say personally, if you had to choose the two, I would probably choose to listen to Megadeth.
Yeah,
if I only had the two to choose from. I'm with Holly though on Pantera. Like if I'm going older metal bands, I would probably go Pantera from the three. Yeah, but you got the hair metal transition to
Pantera's one.
Yeah, Pantera has like two or three like hardcore hair metal records.
Man, his Phil Anselmo's voice in the hair metal days was absolutely phenomenal.
It's epic. It's epic. And I got to admit, that's the thing. Like, I could never understand because Phil Anselmo was the craziest dude. Like, if you ever saw that guy live, it was like the Hulk. You know what I mean? It was like he got hit with gamma radiation and he was about to like bust through a brick wall.
Yeah, he was a force to be reckoned with.
And well, it's like a double whammy because the dude was on like so much heroin that you'd be like, dude, everyone else would be asleep. And this guy is like, karate kicking half the crowd, And
yeah, like, his smack just normalized him.
Well, yeah, it was weird, man. I was like, how would this guy be if he was sober? You know what I mean? He'd be like, I'm going to run 14 marathons tomorrow.
Yeah.
Then I'll be here for the show. Like, what? Okay.
Have you seen him nowadays?
I try to steer clear of like old.
He's
it's probably insane.
Well, there may be a little bit of that in there, but you can certainly bear witness to his previous indiscretions with putting things into his body and stuff. Because
really?
The way he communicates is very interesting.
Oh, he's always been that way, though. I mean, if you watch some of his old interviews, they're like the weirdest. It's like people ask him a straight question, and he would. A lot of parallels with our current administration, where it's like, hey, what's up with the sky? He's like, oh, the other day I saw a dog, and this dog was nuts, man. He was out there in the yard walking around, and yeah, like what? Like what happened? It's like so bizarre. But I don't know.
Kind of goes with the territory sometimes, doesn't it?
Obviously, like drug abuse is no joke, man, and it's pretty clear that's what's going on with old Phil there.
Yeah.
But I think like if I wanted to get down with kind of some new old school stuff, I'd go with like Zakk Wylde because like he plays the old stuff and he's still maybe 40 years old, something like that. So he's still like kind of young enough that you're like, yeah, all right. But you get to like
Zach's got to be older than 40.
Is he? Oh,
yeah.
Let's see how old he is.
I think he's older than me because I can remember he was playing for Ozzy Osbourne when I was in high school, I think.
Yeah, but he was playing with like Ozzy when he was like 15
he was a teenager, wasn't he?
Oh, how old is he? Oh, he's 50. He's 53. Okay. Yeah,
it makes a bit more sense.
Yeah.
It's funny too.
Maybe I I was a little off thinking he was 40. That doesn't make a lot of sense. I thought he was like 45 or 48 or something, but he's 53. All right. Okay. But yeah, when he was playing with Ozzy, he was like super young. Yeah, 1987.
And he was like 17 or 18 or something when he first got that big, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I don't know. Okay. So maybe my timeline's a little screwed up and I thought he was younger because he was young. But then I was older.
Wasn't he originally picked to play with Ozzy just because he resembled Randy Rhoads somewhat?
I think it was something goofy like that. I think they were like, yeah, who knows?
And that's just the way Ozzy's mind worked, probably. Sharon probably picked him anyway.
Probably.
I just remembered too when we were talking about writing credits before. Mm-hmm. I received a check going back many years for a song that I've got writing credits on. And when you receive these royalties or residuals, whatever you want to call them, you check, they tell you where you're getting paid from,
right?
You know, and apparently that song was played in a cinema in Brazil for about a week.
Huh.
And there's no other context. It just said yada yada cinema Brazil. Didn't say whether it was used for an ad or just as background music or something like that. But
wow,
I think the check was for 37 cents or something like that. So
wow,
potentially not used in advertising, I'd reckon.
Well, maybe that's how much ad sales are in Brazil.
I suppose the exchange rate was not so hot that year.
I wouldn't think so.
Now, tell me, has the Australian whales made the news in America?
The Australian whales.
There has been whales hitting the news left, right, and centre the last few weeks. Last week on this live stream, we spoke about whales that were inland about 20 kilometres in the East Alligator River in the Northern Territory, which is, there's no alligators in the river, but for some reason they called it the Alligator River many years ago. Oh, here's the man himself, Craig Broderick. Here's to you, Craig. Craig likes it when I drink VB, apparently. That one was for you, Craig.
It looks like everything is...
Mary Page, good night. Thanks for hanging out. Good to see you again.
Looks like everything is COVID hotspots, New South Wales border opening, border closing.
Alien World Aquatics. I see what you did there. Wales is in England. But yeah, more to the point with the whales, there was Monday morning here. 270 pilot whales had beached themselves on the western side of Tasmania.
Oh, wow.
270. And as if that wasn't enough, this morning time, another 200 have also beached in the same area.
Really?
And it's such an interesting concept, working out or trying to work out, or even just trying to wrap your head around it, why they do it. The theory generally is based on their sonar, I guess. Thoughts?
Yeah, because my part of the world, we have the orcas and all that. We have quite a bit of whale phenomena going on around here, and I think the reality is we don't know anything about whales when you get down to it, right? Because we don't know their language, we don't know what's going on. We know they're talking to each other and they're doing all this stuff. And sure, we have a bunch of information, but I don't think we really know anything about whales, really, or dolphins or any of that kind of stuff. And I think everybody's just flabbergasted when this kind of stuff happens. But here, the whale news is so in the Puget Sound, we have the orca whales that they migrate and come to the Puget Sound. And we have a school of them that stays in the Puget Sound all year round. It never leaves. And everyone is trying to keep those whales from dying because they just keep dying off because their food it's not enough food for them, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I know that like in other like whale beaching themselves in groups like that, I do recall a few times of reading about it, that when they encountered it the first time and when it happened again, when they put the whales back in the ocean, basically like when there was human intervention of like, get them off the beach, get them back in the water, the ones that survived like swam off as if nothing happened. Like they just went back to doing what they were doing, which I think is even more perplexing, right? Because you're just literally like, oh, wait, you guys were up here, you were going to die. We put you back in the ocean, and then you just left like nothing happened. Like, dude, what was that all about? Like, so I think it's even more confusing, because I think if they had like swam back and beached themselves again, you almost go like, okay, this is a reoccurring, something is happening that's causing them to do that. But I mean, dude, I don't know, man. Like, there's just so much stuff that we don't know at all.
Well, they speculated in the article that I was reading about the beaching in Tasmania that when you get such massive pods swimming together, they're not all doing the navigating. Like, you'll get a couple of lead alpha animals doing the navigating. So if they stuff up and head in the wrong direction, then all the other ones are just following anyway. But then when you get a situation like this one where it's 270 on one day and then 2 days later another 200, you know, that's two different pods of whales doing the same thing at the same spot almost.
Yeah, that is weird. I would expect that kind of behavior out of birds, you know, because we've seen that with like migratory birds where there's like the lead bird does something totally unexpected or whatever, and the whole flock just goes flying into something or whatever.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what they're on about, but I don't know. Birds are way dumber than porpoises.
Whales are. Yeah.
Porpoises.
Porpoises. And what about that dude? Wasn't there a dude going back a certain amount of years who was experimenting with dolphins and LSD? Trying to.
I think the gal went to jail, right? I think she went to prison or something, or he did, or somebody went to prison for that.
Well, they weren't only trying to decipher the language, but they were also having not necessarily consensual relationships in a very sexual fashion, I believe.
Well, it was apparently described as that. So it was. Okay, the experiment was something like there was an apartment space that this lady, I think she was a doctor. Or maybe she was, I don't know. Let's just assume that she's a doctor so we don't all lose our minds. But I think she was a doctor, some kind of animal doctor. And they had an apartment set up with like 3 feet of water in it, and the dolphin lived in there with her.
That's right.
And apparently the dolphin would get too aggressive because dolphins are extremely promiscuous in nature.
Yes.
And apparently the dolphin wouldn't pay attention if it hadn't been relieved of whatever, natural pressure had built up. And apparently that was what they all got in trouble for. I don't know. I think somebody went to jail for that. I think.
Yeah, I think you're right, and yeah, I do believe they potentially may have just disguised their activity by saying that they were doing it, in the best interest of the dolphin.
I think that was like I think that was their honest explanation, but I don't think anybody was having it, whether it was true or not.
Yeah,
like, I didn't think it mattered. I think at the time they were just like, no, y'all's crazy. You're in trouble. Like, you can't do this. And it was like, yeah, but it's a medical doctor thing kind of situation. I don't know, but I wasn't involved, so I can't really say what was going on, and I don't really know I definitely don't know firsthand, and I've never read like the court papers or anything like that, so I don't have any kind of recollection exactly.
Oh, look, it's always fun to speculate about interspecies relationships.
It's very weird, and that some of that stuff goes on where I'm here. If you ever look up the Enumclaw guy who got killed by his horse, that's as much as I'm going to talk about it on here, so we don't get in trouble from the internet. But you're gonna have to look it up on your own. But if you look up Enumclaw, man killed by horse, and you'll be absolutely disgusted by what that was all about.
All right, sounds
it's crazy folks all over the world. Is basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. That's why this racism and tribalism and all that is just so crazy to understand, because we're all idiots, really.
We're all definitely idiots. Well, I think actually, personally, like I think the root of tribalism and even racism to an extent makes sense, like in a what is it, epidemiological, is that the way that it's described? So like through the history of mankind, coming in contact with other groups of people either led to like the unknown sickness, right? So think like smallpox, and it killed all of the Native Americans, right?
90% or something ridiculous.
Yeah. Or it was like a warring tribe, like the Romans just show up, like, and they attack and kill everybody, and you're like, dude, they had these like metal, I don't know what metal is, but they had these things, and it just killed everybody. You know what I mean? So I think that like the root of that is just the nature side of fight or flight. I think it's all attached to that, as far as I've seen, from the psychobiology courses and stuff that I took many years ago. That's where they pretty much attach where the root of that comes from. And then obviously if you nurture it in a human, it just becomes stronger and stronger. And you get a full-blown adult who's a crazy person, right? So I think like we kind of evolved being fearful of other groups of people because of, we didn't know if somebody had coronavirus or even what a coronavirus was. It was like,
xenophobia.
Apollo has cast upon us the curse from, these people over there. And now half of us just died. They all just got sick and died. And, so I think that's where all that weird stuff comes from,
Let me just address the chat a little bit. Unsure, Scott, Alien World Aquatics, whether any of the whales had tracking tags on them, but yeah, that's potentially something interesting to look into. And Pugamus suggesting that the whale's behavior might have something to do with solar flare activity.
I think I mean, if I could have found an article, I could have looked to see if any of them had been tagged, but I'm going to try and find an article at some point. But the solar flare, I like that. That might have something to do with what's going on. I like at least the thought process there of like,
yeah,
could it have something to do with it that we just don't understand?
Well, like you were saying before, we know absolutely nothing about our sun really, except for how hot it gets, and
right, like we know it radiates and stuff. And I remember somebody was like, oh, well, the sun being your higher power is ridiculous. That's absurd. And I was like, hey, man, if it takes 1 million, the sun's going to live off the top of my head, I'm going to get this wrong, but it's like 13 trillion years, the lifespan of the sun. It's something crazy, 5 trillion years or 5 billion years, or I don't know. Existing for about 4.5. So it's already existed for 4.5 billion years, right? And it's only got about 5 billion left, which is an absurd amount of time that there's no way our brain would ever be able to figure out. Yeah. But I was talking with somebody. I was like, if it lives for 10 billion years, right? It might take it 1 million years to say a sentence. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And it'd just be like, well, that's how long it takes for it to talk, you know? And meanwhile, we're all down here like zip, 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 zip. And just, you know, so many people come and go before you ever get a chance to even like, what? Oh, hey, what's up? You know?
It's all a matter
So
of
I was actually like just relating that to somebody and they were like, oh, I never thought of it that way. Oh, okay. That's cool. Yeah. No worries. I was
Oh, yeah,
like, all right.
and hello to Metal Hammer Jimmy. G'day, Jimmy, and Crystal's Pets and Plants. How are you, Crystal? Welcome aboard.
Nice.
But if you, the article that I was reading about the whales was on our local government broadcaster's website, abc.net.au/news or something. But yeah, sometimes their news site can be a little bit hard to navigate. Who else have I missed? Lots of porpoisey references. Jesse, don't trust no porpoise.
Don't trust no porpoise. Got it. I won't.
Yeah, well, you know, they've got shifty eyes, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, lots of people seem to enjoy them. I mean, like them, not enjoy them, because not like that.
That's doctor business. That's doctor business. We don't know about that.
Yeah, we'll just call it doctor business. I like that.
Doctor business.
Should be a shirt. Don't ask me about the doctor business.
Yeah. Don't Moonstone says, contrary to popular belief, I'm not dead. We had fire, hosting evac family, and went back to work. So, hi.
Hi, back at you, Moonstone.
What's up, Moonstone?
Good to see you. Still in the land of the living.
It's good. It's good to be in the land of the living.
What were? If you've seen The Boys, there's an awesome whale scene early in season 2 of The Boys.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
I haven't. Don't spoil the end of it. I'm not caught up. I've seen the whale episode, so we're fine.
Yeah,
but I'm trying to remember like what episode I am on, because it's clearly a show I have to not watch with the family.
Indeed. Well, but what about the dolphin scene in season 1 where he's stealing the dolphin from SeaWorld or wherever it was? Yeah. Man, that was pretty brutal. I mean, it went from funny and, you know, a little bit sexy to all of a sudden, bang, brutal.
Yeah, it was a little fun, a little quirky, and then just a tragedy.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that was just a bad idea.
Sam Dam, hello. But yeah, I think I've been banging on about The Boys for about 3 weeks now. If you haven't seen it and you like a bit of excessive violence, a little bit of tiny little dash of sexual innuendo, and a kind of a superhero story that doesn't treat itself like a superhero story.
It doesn't, but it's definitely, there is a lot. How would I want to phrase that? There are a lot of shots at the American government, British government, the large sort of how would you want to phrase that? Sort of the large, gosh, what's the word for that? Imperialist governing bodies of the world.
It's kind of imperialism disguised as capitalism, really, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's really well done, and I think let's call him the creator of the show, not the guy who wrote the original graphic novels, but the guy who's throwing the show together. He was saying that the timing couldn't have been better to bring this show out because of the the state of the world.
Yeah, I really don't think. I think if you put that show out 5 years ago, it wouldn't have gotten received well.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been, certainly wouldn't have been as poignant.
I mean, it's very applicable of like, oh, this is very well written, contextual, and in a way kind of like in a timeless way too, because you could watch it 10 years from now and be like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, because a lot, it does cover a lot of the the last 50, 60 years in the without being specific, without specifically saying this is a thing that happened in 1972, which is good.
Interesting. What did Alien World Aquatics is asking if you've ever seen a UFO?
Have I ever seen a UFO?
Yeah.
I would be the wrong person to ask because of my my drug history. So I would not be a good witness to whether or not I've seen a UFO. I've been to Burning Man over 20 years ago. So in the early days.
And there was probably quite a few around then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't actually like Alien World Aquatics. I'm not sure if you've done any more of your series of interviewing people about UFO sightings, but I believe I might have been the first one on that interview. And I had a couple of experiences, but I hadn't actually considered that. They might have been drug influenced sightings as well. No,
yeah, I mean, I've seen all sorts of. I mean, I've seen all sorts of crazy stuff. Here's a perfect. Les Stroud. You know who Les Stroud is? The guy who goes out in the woods by himself. Yep. Well, he was recently obsessed with Sasquatch, right? And how he was going out in the woods because he swore that he had a Sasquatch experience, this, that, the kind of thing, whatever. And I will tell you, like, when you're in the deep woods by yourself in a crappy little tent, losing your mind in the darkness out there, because it's just a weird place to be if you're isolated, right? And I like Les Stroud. I think he's awesome. I think he's a fantastic guy. I don't specifically believe in Sasquatch because I've had crazy experiences out in the woods, sleeping in a tent by myself in the dark. And I don't think it was Sasquatch. I think it was me more than anything. Just losing it,
Yeah, right.
So, whether that's me like casting doubt on what it is that those people have experienced, that's not my intention. My intention is to say I've experienced a bunch of stuff that is not explained by Sasquatch or UFOs, but definitely Sasquatch-esque and UFO-esque, right? So, I mean, I didn't have a camera out, so I don't really have anything to be like, yeah, I for sure saw a UFO. I mean, I've seen all sorts of crazy stuff in the sky, but I
didn't. I wasn't familiar that he'd done a Sasquatch one, but it is ironic that there is an Australian cartoon available on YouTube called The Big Les Show, which has a lot of Sasquatch in it and potentially dives into the whys and wherefores of Sasquatch life. But I'm not going to spoil it for anyone. If you like really dodgily drawn cartoons and lots of violence and stuff in cartoons that look like they've been drawn by 11-year-olds, worth watching, and you might learn a thing or two about Sasquatch.
I should have to check that out. Yeah,
The Big Show.
But as far as like where I fall on the list of those phenomena, is Chupacabra real? Seems doubtful, but it's possible. Sasquatch seems doubtful, but possible. UFOs is like 100% probable that not necessarily UFOs have been here or anything, but yes, there are other life forms in the galaxy, solar system. The universe is insane. I don't think there's any possibility that there isn't life on another planet. And I think where I find there to be evidence of life from another planet is the octopus, right?
Yeah, that's a pretty good go-to, that one.
I mean, their DNA doesn't even make any sense. I mean, their DNA is what, like some umpteen levels of more complex than ours, like just this insane level. They don't make any sense in our
Do they
ocean.
are octopus cephalopods?
Yeah.
So all of the other cephalopod species potentially, have
That's true.
come from them as well, or maybe
It's possible that they evolved from that.
Yeah, thinking that maybe the octopus first came here billions of years ago.
Right. Because we do know that like stuff has landed on this planet, right?
And
the other one that I think ties into it is mushrooms, fungus. Fungus is this like unique, weird. Oh, Sam just said it. Fungus.
Yeah, that was well timed, wasn't it?
That was well timed. But like fungus is the other one. Like they're all, it's interconnected. It's all talking to each other. It's all one entity, and it's all bizarre. And like, I mean, nothing else does that, on the planet. As far as my knowledge goes, that.
Yeah, they're definitely an interesting creature, and potentially, responsible for the evolution of humans as we are now.
Yeah.
If you entertain the stoned ape theory.
you gotta like the stoned ape theory. It does make sense. It makes about as much sense as anything else that was going on 8,000 years ago.
Absolutely. Yeah. What else? There was something we said earlier that triggered me into telling you about Raised by Wolves. Have you seen that TV show?
Ooh, I don't think I have. Isn't that it's kind of like it's like an action show, isn't it? Something like that.
Well, it's a sci-fi show.
With the
planet.
Is it? It's set on a different planet with like the robot lady raises the kids and stuff. I haven't seen that yet because I can't figure out. Like it's on HBO Max or something. Like it's on
yes, that's correct.
Like I have regular HBO through Amazon, but I have to get like a different HBO or something. It's like
I thought HBO Max was just their the streaming site for HBO.
Yeah, I don't understand. It's confusing me, and then I got pissed off and was like, I'm not going to watch that. And then I ended up watching another episode of The Boys instead.
Yeah, right.
I was like, this is irritating. So I'm going to watch the show I know how to watch.
Both of those shows have definitely taken a lot of my time in the last few weeks.
Well, I got that old man with a baby thing going on, like she's not even 2 yet. Like tomorrow I got to go fairly soon because I have to get up at 3 a.m. to go to work at the coop.
Hideous.
And then I get back here, and then she's awake until 7:30, and she goes to bed. And then oftentimes I have like an hour to watch a show or something, or edit, So then I try to watch a show and edit at the same time, which doesn't work well as far as accomplishing editing.
Yeah, sure.
But at least I like kind of clicked around on some stuff and changed some things. That's pretty much it.
And then, by the time you've clicked 3 things, that hour's disappeared all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I'm really enjoying is shows that are doing 1 or 2 episodes a week instead of putting out a whole season in one hit. Give me 1 episode a week so I can take a week to digest and talk about it with my friends and all of that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, they're definitely like HBO is sticking to that. HBO is sticking to that, and I think Amazon is doing that some.
Yeah.
Because if you come upon it later, you could always binge watch it later. But I think it's nice that they're doing that like once a week release because they're an hour long, man. It's not like a 22-minute sitcom with the, it's like, and then they cut out the commercial breaks, so it's like you watch 20 minutes of laughs. You're like, dude, I'm gonna watch 30 of these, right? But as these hour-long, like nicely produced episodes that have an arc, there's a middle, stuff happens, things expand a little bit, and then there's an end to this episode. I think is I think it's perfect for it to come out once a week, because it's just too much to watch like 3 or 4 of those episodes in a row, because you don't even remember what happened the 4 hours ago when you started watching or whatever. It's a bit much.
Well, Raised by Wolves is doing it fairly interestingly, where their first release was 3 episodes in one hit. Instead of
hook everybody.
Well, I think my theory on that is that if they just played the first episode, I don't think a lot of people would have come back for more, because there was too much iffy stuff that needed closure. And if you didn't sort of get that closure straight away, you might not have come back. I don't know if I'm sort of explaining it well enough. But See a Moonstone, thank you. So they brought out 3 episodes at first, so you got a really good immersion into the world and what was going on. And then last week they brought out 2 more episodes, up to 5. The 5th episode, and remains to be seen what happens this week. I think Thursday, the Raised by Wolves episodes come out. I have a strange feeling they might just drop it back to 1 this week, and we'll see where it goes.
Well, that's interesting. How long are the episodes? Are they like an hour long, or?
Well, like you said before, 52 minutes once you cut out the commercial times.
Right.
I'm assuming that HBO is. Do they have commercials on HBO?
So as far as I could tell, with like Westworld and Game of Thrones and all that kind of stuff, they sort of, I think they loosely shoot for an episode to be like an hour. But then it's like, oh, well, we don't want to add in an extra 8 minutes of stupid stuff that doesn't make any sense with the story, so it ends up being 50 minutes, or maybe next week it's 75 minutes or something. So I don't know. I think it's a really interesting like world that we're in right now as far as like media production and things like that, because it's just so different than it used to be. And like I think if you look at like The Mandalorian, I don't know if you've seen like the production behind the scenes of that.
Yeah, that was fantastic to get all of that info.
I think that The Mandalorian, the way that they're shooting that, how they're they're back projecting all of the sets and all of that stuff. I think that's probably going to be sort of the way of the future as far as like filming these shows go. Yeah, this is the way.
Couldn't help us.
But I think that's realistically going to be more. We're going to see a lot more of that now that that's being developed. Like Disney is developing that way of producing shows, and I think it's a good way to like cut down the production time and the production costs, so that streaming sites will be able to make more bigger productions like that without $200 million being spent, and instead it's more like $40 million and you can make 5 of those, right?
And it's done quicker.
And at the same place. Like, you don't even need another location. You don't need to send people all around the world and go to all these weird locations. You can literally just make them where you're at without even moving stuff around. It's just like this projection stage. So I think we'll see a lot more of that like in the future.
Is it it seems to be Jon Favreau that's like right at the forefront of getting all of that technology sorted and stuff. He seems to have a really interesting head on his shoulders, that dude.
Have you seen his cooking show?
Hey?
Have you seen his cooking show?
No.
He has a cooking show with what's his name, David Chan or something like that. I think maybe that's his name. Let me find his cooking show. It's on like Netflix. Jon Fav.
Yeah, but it was interesting.
Favreau.
it was interesting how he was saying that his previous project was a VR, some VR game and some other cartoon, and he was saying that he's drawing from all of these inspirations for his technology and stuff.
Oh no, it's with Roy Choi. Sorry, I get those two dudes totally confused. But it's called The Chef Show, and he hired Roy Choi to teach him for that movie that he did about being a chef.
Yeah. The Chef, wasn't it called The Chef?
Yeah, and so he hired Roy Choi to teach him how to be a chef for it, right? And then he got just kind of obsessed with learning the chef trade because Roy was actually teaching him how to do it like for real, as opposed to like going to culinary school and like this is the pointy end and this is the fire part, right? And then he just got obsessed with like learning how to like cook more stuff. So him and Roy just kept doing that, and then they just got some cameras and a camera crew because Jon Favreau knows everybody around. And he was basically like, I'll pay some camera guys to film this. That they're just camera guys that are bored. That maybe they weren't working or whatever. Had them film it, and then he took it to some guys, edited it together, and just sold it to Netflix. Like, hey, do you guys want this? I have 8 episodes. Like, here you go. And now I think they're on season 4 is going to come out.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Or there's at least 3 seasons out. The Chef Show season 4 should release sometime in July 2020. So yeah, season 4 probably just came out.
Well, he's quite a personable chap, isn't he? So
the funniest episode. Speaking of movies, Jon Favreau and things that he's filmed. So they met up with Gwyneth Paltrow to cook the Chef Show with her. And you know how weird she is, right?
Well,
and there's a part
only hearsay.
Well, hearsay, yes. I don't know her personally either, but there's a part in the Chef Show where they're like cooking the soup or whatever, and Jon Favreau's like, "Oh yeah, when you were doing these scenes in this movie, blah blah blah, that John filmed, which is like one of the Avengers movies, right?" And she was like, "Was I in that movie?" And he's like, yes, you were in that movie. I like, and you could tell he was like, are you serious right now? Like he kind of thought she was joking, but then it turns out she's actually serious, like doesn't even know what movies she's ever been in, kind of thing. It was just like, dude, you're in one of the biggest Avengers movies of all time and you have like no idea, like, oh, what was I in that? Oh, weird. That's totally weird. My vagina smells like this candle. Like,
she just got the paycheck and ran.
Well, what the hell's happening?
Pepper Potts, that was her name. Exactly. Yeah. CT3. Yep.
The Pepper Potts.
Streetwise mentioning Doom Patrol. I've had a crack at like three episodes in it. I don't know whether I can dedicate much more time to it. Yeah, we'll just go with that. I don't know. Maybe I should give it more of a chance, but I think it became one of those shows that I may be confusing it with something else, but yeah, I'm not going to say much more about Doom Patrol. I think I will give it another go, Streety. Sit back into it and try, because the comics are pretty good, apparently. Some comic book friends of mine have vouched for the comics.
Yeah. I'm trying to think where is Doom Patrol was on? What is it on?
Netflix, I believe.
Is it on Netflix?
It's on Netflix in Australia, yeah. I think. I might be wrong.
Oh no, it's on Prime in the States. So it's probably some kind of.
No, you're right. Yeah, it is on Prime. See, I'm getting a little bit confused because
I'm confused. I haven't watched it at all, so
I haven't been watching much Netflix because I've got you can share some of your streaming services with other people. So
right.
I've got like Disney, Stan, Binge, Prime, and Netflix all available to me. it's really a glut of decent television out there. So you can
Yeah.
sort of afford, if you're not really loving something, you can afford to switch it off and move to the next show. But also the hassle that comes with that is those 92-minute long sessions before you even watch anything, of just scrolling through everything, finding something to watch.
Well, that's the thing. I will fully admit to that driving me nuts recently, where I will like go onto Netflix and like kind of scroll around for 20 minutes and then realize I've just wasted 20 minutes like scrolling around on there, and just turn the TV off because I'm like, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing right now, and I'll go to bed or something. I don't know.
Yeah. 2 nights ago I did it, and I probably wasted about 25 minutes scrolling through, and then I thought, I'll just switch the TV off and listen to a podcast and close my eyes.
Yeah. I'm legit. I'm really legit at the point right now where I kind of just wear my headphones around all the time and just listen to debates and podcasts and stuff like that all the time now. That's pretty much what I'm just absorbing as far as things go, because there's just, I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot going on in the world right now. So,
and there's podcasts about it all, about everything that's going on in the world. So anything that strikes your fancy, you can
pretty much
go and find something to listen to about.
Well, books on tape have been helping a lot too.
So, yeah, I'm a terrible reader. Like, it takes me so long to read a book. Mm-hmm. So I really do enjoy that you can have someone read you a story as a grown adult, and it's acceptable nowadays.
It's an acceptable form of adulting.
Yeah. Whereas, maybe 15 years ago, if you asked someone to read you a story and you're a 40-year-old man, you might get a little bit of a sideways glance.
Well, you just had to find the right narrator, Maybe a lady who likes to read out loud.
Yeah.
It's an option.
There's also, with going back to The Boys, there's one of those, after the show, panel-y chat show kind of shows that they do. That gives you some pretty good insight into The Boys as well.
Oh, they do one of those?
Inside The Boys, and it's hosted by delicate title.
Yeah.
Hosted by Aisha Tyler.
Oh, okay.
And she does a pretty good job. I've seen some of those shows that are pretty tedious and hard to get through, but she's always got relevant guests on to the episodes that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's entertaining sometimes to finish the episode of The Boys and then watch the Inside The Boys to see what they're all thinking and stuff.
Makes sense. I can get behind that.
And then I've been listening to this a podcast about it's called Raised by Wolves, where they break down each episode, but they're not the most entertaining two dudes who talk about the show.
Oh, okay.
I think the funnest part of that podcast is the witty backwards and forwards bantering that the guys have, and they half the time they end up just giving each other shit, and they don't actually talk much about the show at all.
Well, I love the behind the scenes and the technical analysis type shows. But I do have to admit I kind of have to stay away from it on some things, but because then it becomes impossible for me to have my suspended disbelief when I'm like watching the show, because I'm literally like, oh, that camera move right there is dope, dude. How did they do that? Like, how did they pull the background, in frame and then out and da, da, da. Like I get totally distracted by that stuff. So I normally wait until a show is done. Like the behind the scenes Game of Thrones stuff, like I didn't watch that until it was all done, because I was like, as much as I want to know how they did some of the stuff, it was going to ruin it for me. So,
I think I'd watched the Mandalorian first season. I think I'd watched it 2 times through before I did the crikey, what was that show called? Anyway, the technical show, the 8 episodes.
Yeah.
And,
I think
it was good.
I think that might have popped up like on my like because I have like YouTube Premium or whatever. I think that popped up on YouTube Premium like autoplay one day before I'd even seen The Mandalorian.
Yeah, right.
So the first season when I watched The Mandalorian, there was parts in that season that I picked out just watching it the first time. That wasn't in the making of, but it's because like I had watched like the making of stuff or the behind the scenes episodes that had come out. Maybe it was only 2 or something, but before I had seen the episodes. So there was a part where we're like watching the episode and there's a part where stormtroopers come out of this like sandy bunker house thing, right? Like one of those weird sand houses, whatever the hell those are called. I don't know that they have a name.
Let's just go with sand houses.
And there's 4 of them, and 3 of them are right-handed, but one of them is left-handed.
Yeah.
He's holding his gun, his laser, whatever you call it, blaster, left-handed. And I literally was like, I stood up and I was like, Vicky, pause it, go back. And she's like, what? It was all this exciting part, you know? And I'm like, go back. And she's like, she goes back like 30 seconds. And I was like, watch. One of these stormtroopers is left-handed. This is bullshit. And Vicky's like, really? We stopped it because there's a left-handed stormtrooper. And I was literally like, if you know anything about the Empire, they would not allow a stormtrooper to be left-handed. They are all right-handed, you know? And Vicky's just like, you are an idiot. Like, just shut up. It's like, yeah, you got a good point. Okay.
Speaking of which, I mean, it is very small on my screen, but Alan Matthews, hello, Alan Matthews and Chubbs, how are you? But looks like Alan Matthews has a stormtrooper in his little avatar thing. A Lego stormtrooper, I'm thinking. Is it? Or am my eyes really failing me as I get older?
I don't know. I can't tell. It could be a ghost. I don't know. I gotta make it bigger. We're getting old.
Yeah.
How do I make it bigger? It doesn't get bigger.
Can you still do the old control and scroll and it zooms?
Can I do that? Oh, yeah. I can. Haha.
Mine's no. Shit. Mine computer was reacting very slowly, so now I have my avatar almost full screen. Let's try that again, Michael.
I can't. I got it at 200%. I can't even really tell what. Maybe it is a stormtrooper.
Yeah, it's a Lego stormtrooper, most definitely.
All right. What do I know? I'm just a guy. I'm just some guy.
It wasn't the Did they talk about it in the making of the Mandalorian thing about the that most of the stormtroopers in the Mandalorian were the what do they call them? The 501st?
Like the clones, right? Aren't they all supposed to be clones?
No. That there was like.
Oh, no, I guess they're not. Because this is long before them being cloned, because they're cloned from Boba Fett, right?
Yeah.
Or Jango Fett or something.
You've got the avid fans of Star Wars that dress up as stormtroopers, and I think they call themselves the 501st.
Oh, yeah.
And they got, for that scene in the last episode of the first season where there was lots of stormtroopers, they put the call out to the 501st. So they got, most of the stormtroopers were actually, fanboys turning up in their own stormtroopers costumes and stuff, which a lot of them were homemade and stuff like that, but they certainly
one of those dinguses is left-handed, and that pisses me off. It ruined my experience.
Yeah, well, can you, like, if you go back to say a scene in Return of the Jedi where you've got hundreds and hundreds of stormtroopers all lined up, and they're just so perfectly symmetrical. Imagine that one left-handed dude in there, he'd just throw that hole. It'd be gone.
Yeah, Vader would have thrown that guy out the air hatch. No time, nothing flat. He would have done the force choke thing.
Yeah.
I guess he would have force choked him until he was right-handed.
Maybe that could be a possible dark side power. Maybe you can alternate one's handedness.
Oh, maybe. Well, you get dual wielding, right? Like Yoda, because Yoda can dual wield, right?
He probably can, but I don't think he ever does.
I think he did in one of them, right? We gotta look this up. Did Yoda ever dual wield? Let's see.
See, I would say probably not, because surely his hand size has a lot to do with
Jar-Kai. Jar-Kai was originally a style of swordplay that utilized dual blades of the dual-bladed combat, but very few ever achieved complete mastery. Also, the number of lightsabers wielded was not limited to 2, depending on blah, blah, blah. When the Reborn... Okay. This is looking to be like a little bit confusing, but I swear there was one...
G'day, ugly man.
I swear there was a scene when Yoda was dual wielding. Originally intended for Dooku to be the one dual wielding against Yoda. Anybody ever seen these promo pics?
Yeah, I can't remember.
I can't remember. I swear there was a part where Yoda had 2 lightsabers and was like jumping around all crazy, but maybe not. Maybe I just was like, that would be the most awesome thing ever.
Because his biggest lightsaber battle was against Palpatine in either episode 2 or episode 3, and he only used one lightsaber then.
Yeah, I thought it was when he was
episode 3. That was.
I thought it was when he. I thought it was when he battled like Dooku or whatever his name was, or something like that. I don't know.
I guess we're just going to have to watch the movies all over.
I'm probably just gonna have to watch all of them just to make sure. just to really make sure.
I went and saw Empire Strikes Back at the cinema the other day.
Really?
Yeah, they've I missed A New Hope. Unfortunately, it wasn't as heavily promoted as what Empire Strikes Back was. And tomorrow, Return of the Jedi starts in the cinema. Which, side note, Return of the Jedi was the first film I saw in a cinema as a young man.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I can't remember. I think the Transformers, like Optimus, the Transformers when Optimus Prime died was probably the first one I saw in the theater. I think.
Crikey, like 80s?
Yeah, like early 80s, like 83, 84, or something like that.
Right. Oh, yeah, I'll be in that 1K giveaway. Stealing ya? Star Wars lunchbox, thinking of using it as a 1K giveaway.
You're going to do a Star Wars lunchbox thing and use it? Oh. That's not bad. You better hurry up and get 1,000 subscribers. Then you can give away your Star Wars lunchbox.
Something to aspire to.
Yeah. Oh, hey, bud. I got 9:30. I got to get up at 3. So.
All right. Well, we might just call it there, dude, and go and do afternoony kind of stuff here, and you can eagerly anticipate that 3 a.m. wake up. Ugh.
It's coming.
Sends shivers down my spine.
It's coming.
Pardon me. So yeah, thanks heaps for popping up, man, and good
All right,
luck
buddy. Yeah,
with
man.
tomorrow.
Oh, it's fine. I'll just be doing plumbing all day.
Good
All
day.
great.
Indoors, I hope.
Yes, indoors. Aquarium co-op. So I'll be there all day.
Nice.
All right, buddy.
Righto. Thanks, Corvus.
Talk to you later. All right,
See you soon, man. Bye now. Everyone else who's hanging out and has hung out for the duration, thanks again for your patience at the start with my delayed beginning. Appreciate that a lot. Thanks as well to all your new names that have been showing up. It's very good to see. And of course, all of you returning folk are good as well. We likes you all. So thanks heaps. Enjoy the rest of your day, night, whatever. Delete where applicable. Thanks, GRB, for chucking links and stuff up. Very good, mate. Thank you. Appreciate that. Massive. And if I don't see you beforehand, I'll see yous when I'm looking at yous. Bye now.